You can get started. All right. Thanks. Okay, so I'll get started. Maybe if people join later. Okay, so this is a talk for today. So my name is Kamish. I work for Red Hat as a director for developer experience and evangelizing on service mesh, serverless, Istio, and Kubernetes and Java. And today, like we'll see about Quarkus, the new framework which we launched sometime back in March, and see how to expedite your Java application development on Quarkus. The slides of the talk is there on the Bitly link. It's public. I can just download the slides, and I'll be just rushing through a few slides initially, and then I'll be jumping onto the demo. So I'll be showing more stuff how to do things with this. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to my email handles there, and then I have my GitHub and Twitter handle as well there. And so this is a group which I work with Red Hat for. So this is called as developers.redhat.com. So if you're not registered there, so you can just get yourself registered there, where you get a lot of open source content, blogs, webinars, ebooks, which you can download free ebooks from there as well around microservices, Java, Kubernetes, all these topics as well, right? All right, let's jump to today's topic. So this is my Sherlock, right? So at least how many of you felt that, at least even before some time, even still feeling that Java is dead? Right? A lot of people are feeling, right, Java is dead, I want to go to Golang, I want to do node.js, I want to do Python, whatever you call it, and still you feel that, okay, I have to start re-engineering my enterprise applications because Java is dead, right? But it's still not, right? So we also had this famous quote saying, like, today is Java's old rat, it's old application, I don't need all these stuff, right? So that's what we're going to change today, saying that it's not dead yet, and it has a lot of goodness still left in it, right? People have not explored the goodness within Java, and because of that, they pre-concluded saying that it's dead. And let's see, like, what all the goodness it has, because we still see a rich ecosystem of applications running on Java, giving you the stuff today, right? For example, your Android phones, Raspberry Pi, and then Pi4j, and then even OSGI, Spring Framework, and Groovy, what name? So you got a lot of more frameworks as well. But all these frameworks, one of the biggest problems we see in a cloud-native way, if we say cloud-native Java application, then people always felt that Java is slow, Java is fat. It's boot slow, it's fat, and it's slow. I cannot use it for cloud because I need everything to be coming up in a fraction of seconds. That's was something they felt there as well. So we're going to change this thing with what I call as Quarkus. Quarkus means a subatomic particle in physics, technically, and then us meaning the developers who use this, right? Technically, we are the people like who actually use Quarkus as well. And this is the name, that's how it was coined as Quarkus. And this framework is nothing but another open source stack. I don't call it even as a framework or a runtime, I call it as a stack, which basically helps you to write cloud native application, which could be microservices or it could be serverless. So any of these things, right, end of the day. So we can make Quarkus to do a cloud native as well as a microservice application, as well as your serverless application can also be written using Quarkus, which means that it applies to all the entire Java, the programming model which we technically use to develop applications. So what does it mean to you? We'll see that as in demos as well. So it means that my Java application size, my jar, technically becomes 10x smaller, right? You have heard of this Vert jar thing, which is very famous as of today. We just do java-jar and then start the application up, and then we file up all the dependencies inside. We make this thing bloated up, and then all kind of class path resolution, etc., etc. And then now we try to make these things 10x smaller. And also, like what we also done is like we made things 100x faster. So which means that it runs super fast. We'll show the demos as well. We have a JVM mode as well. We have a native mode as well. So in which JVM mode is nothing but I make it as a jar. In a native mode, I make it as a binary, the native binary of the OS using GraalVM. So you can use any of these two techniques to make these applications available for you as well. Right? I'll come back to the demo, but what this mean to me is as a developer, right? It's because for developer, it's a lot of joy right now for me because I can use something which is standardized. We'll see what standards we have right now support. And I have a plethora of extensions which I can use out of the box, which you don't need to worry about. And also, like, we can also do imperative as well as reactive programming, which means I don't need to worry about what should be my framework for reactive programming, what should be my framework for imperative programming. You don't need to worry about this. Just add those extensions. It will give you the necessary frameworks that's needed for you, right? So what we support right now is more like we support the known standards like Jakarta EE and microprofile out of the box. So what it means that, for example, you'll also see an example. I don't need to configure them in a different way. The moment I say a Quarkus application, the Quarkus application combines these specs together for you as a developer so that you can start doing this application on the fly. For example, let's say a configuration property from microprofile. I don't need to include any jars to doing that because it's already into the framework. I just need to start using the annotations to config property and then start using the property. So we'll see an example of that as well. And all the Jakarta EE specs, which is also there, and it's also optimized Hibernate and JPA as well. And we have a lot of these extensions and much more are getting added up. So we can have Vert.x, we can have microprofile. We also have Spring compatibility increased, which means that the Spring web application and Spring data application, which you already have, could be easily migrated to Quarkus-based application, right? And then also like we have Hibernate, REST-EC, Apache Camel, Kafka. If you have time, I'll show you a quick Kafka demo using microprofile and reactive messaging at the last. So, and then also like we have Netty and other things included as well. All right. So what I do is like, let me get to the demo quickly. So let me see if my Eclipse J thing has come up. If not, I have to use the local Visual Studio Code. So let me see if this has come up. If not, let's get to my command line. Good. I hope it's come up. All right. So so I use my Eclipse J to do this development for this. So what I can now going to do is like the first thing, I just open up a terminal, and then I'm going to say, let me see if I can have I copy pasted few commands for the sake of time. So basically, to get started with Quarkus, all I need to do is I need to start creating a Maven plugin, which is already there, and you also have a Gradle plugin available. I just do a Maven Quarkus create just to create the application name and then application command. That's all I need to get started. It gives you a basic REST API already available for you. This is what I'm trying to do here. Let me do this. And once I have this here, and hopefully it gets through much faster. Okay, so okay, let me see. That's what I have. C/projects. Okay, let me do tutorial. Or maybe I got the permission issue here, and then let me do it here. Right. Great. I'm here. So let me go to the Fruits app. And if you see the Fruits app, I don't have any big thing here. I just have one Fruit app which has just saying hello. We'll see. Come back to this again in a second. Now, how do we start this? It's fairly easy to start. I just say Maven compile clean. Let me do one thing. Let me go and disable the test. There is no big test here. So, but just to save time, I just say skip test and then say true. And then I just say clean package. Right. So it does a quick package of your stuff. And then if you see your stuff, let me also show that to you in a second. We use a manifest mode. We don't use the overjar mode anymore. So let's say just downloading few more dependencies out there. Yeah, we're done with that. So ls-ltr target. If you see this, if you see this particular stuff, like if you see the jar, which is a runner jar, which you actually need to run, this jar is pretty tiny in kilobytes, like approximately 190 KB or something. And what you have done is that we went back to the old style of having the lib directory where we have all these jars put in, and then we just give the manifest entries to them, right? So that your Uber jar stuff is not there. Still it runs as a jar, but your manifest entries is also there, right? So why we do this way is because for Quarkus, everything is done at build time. It's not a runtime framework. So because you can take the same jar and put it inside your application server to start running, there is no need to worry about whether it will run my application or not. The only thing which it doesn't do is reflection. I cannot use reflection in Quarkus because it's not supported by GraalVM. So I cannot have a native mode done for GraalVM, so I have to avoid doing reflection. Because one of the two common reasons why your Java application was traditionally slow is because of a dynamic class loading, and then the JIT structure which gets inside your thing when it's also just-in-time compiling as well, and then your reflection which causes your classes to be loaded dynamically. So this has to resolve the class path and do everything, and that's the only biggest reason why we have avoided using reflection here. Okay, so let's run this and quickly see how far we get through this. Let me done java-jar, and then I just say target, fruit snapshot runner.jar, and you'll see this application coming up. Wait, if you see that, that's 1.7 point something, right? So 0.759 seconds, which is your startup time, first response time for your Java application. If many Java developers are here, like you would have never known that a Java application can run so fast, right? And also like one thing when we start doing with Eclipse J, which has integrated tools and plugins integrated here, so what it also gives you is like it adds your developer joy because I can also open a link. I'm running this server in OpenShift, a Kubernetes cluster. So it takes a few seconds for me to get this route updated. And now I have my application up and running here on my console, right? I don't need to go out of my browser. I'm using Eclipse J here. And then let me open this path here so that I can have this application running. And also like my application is started here, all right, in 0.759 seconds. So we'll also do a native mode compilation later. The second one, which I also wanted to share with you right now is like for as a Java developer, so this is not something which I want, right? As a traditional Java developer, your development cycle is that I build an application, add a functionality, do a small sort of Maven build, and then take this application and deploy the application in application server. So now when I go for the next feature, then I start to do a build again, and then I have to stop the server, update the jar, and then restart the server, right? That is not something which actually slows down you as a developer. So what you have done with Quarkus is that it also gives you a developer mode. In my developer mode, what happens, I don't need to stop my server technically. I keep adding things up, and then I keep going through cycles. And then once my cycle is done, like I can just make this as a package, as a native application or JVM jar and take it to production, okay? So how do I start a development mode? It's pretty simple. I just go here, mvn compile. I say it just need to do a compile every time. Quarkus, and then I say dev. This is a dev mode, get started. And it's also pretty quick if you see that, but the only thing is that since I have to do a dynamic class reloading, a hot replacement of classes, so it just takes this and then I get a path opened up and then my application is up running here as well, right? The same application. So let's see what this application is. Let me see, refresh this again and then open this up. And I have one little path. I'll come back to this in a second. So this says hello, right? So, and just I have a path like fruit. Now I say, okay, this is not something scaffolded. So let's go back and then open this path up. And then I say fruit resource. And then I say, I like banana. So I say banana, all right? Now, the difference between the dynamic reloading and hot class replacement is here. We don't do a direct class replacement. What we basically do is like we recompile the code and then we restart the application server. Since Quarkus starts in very, for example, in 7.755 milliseconds kind of stuff, like it starts so fast, so you don't need to worry about like restarting a server quickly, okay? So let's see what I've done. And also like if you see now, my classes are not reloaded right now. My application is not rebounced. So this is a typical way how the earlier tools, which was doing the rebouncing, so what they basically do is like the moment you change your class on your editor, it becomes dirty, it reloads your stuff. So which is wrong technically because you'll be having cascading changes based on the new changes you have done. So you have to really know that I'm done to test it. Otherwise, you'll have failures, class path not found, etc., right? And this is what I'm going to do right now. So how does Quarkus do this? Quarkus basically, when I go and refresh the path again, or any path within the application, I get the classes get reloaded. And you see this, the reloading happens the moment I access the application the next time. So when you'll access it, when I rerun my test cases, I rerun my test cases only I feel if it's all done well. Right? Otherwise, I don't really run my test cases. So that's what Quarkus does. Quarkus takes care that it also reloads. And you'll also see that the reloading is not very high, right? It just reloads in 0.2 seconds, which is a blessing for a developer, right? So Quarkus is not stopped with this. So let's do one more thing. I want to show you like how the development of the database application, typically a REST application, combination of database is what you usually do. Any developer will start to do. So what we do for that, let me go here and then copy this command. Okay, so I'm just going to add the extensions. Probably at the slide which I showed you, like we have a lot of extensions right now. I'm going to use a PostgreSQL database, Hibernate, ORM, and then I'll also show you what's Panache is in a second. So once I do this, the extensions do nothing but adding bunch of dependencies to your Maven POM, right? These are optimized dependencies like this, for example, OpenAPI, Panache, and then it also has the other Hibernate stuff added to this, right? The PostgreSQL JDBC jar and all this stuff. All right. So now I go back to my compile mode again because I'm going to start developing a database application. So let's give some time for the jars to be downloaded and are done here, and then the application gets started. All right. And then yes, open link. Okay. Sometimes the route gets updated, so I just click open link here. So I'm not going to have a debug path, and I'll see the bunch of installed features which will allow you to make application available. So let's do this. So what happens is basically let's go and create a fruit entity for uit.java, and then I say class, right? And then I mark this as entity. Okay, so it takes me time. Anti. Okay, let me get this anti. Okay, the persistence entity. I'm just going to have one thing. I'll just say public. I'll come back to why I say public in a second. Public string, I got a name, right? So that's the only thing I'm going to have, the name of the fruit. So that's one thing which is all I'm going to do. And then obviously what I need to do is like I need to go back and configure my application properties, right, to load the database. So what I'm going to do is like let me go here, and then I have these properties copied already. So just me put this. I'm just configuring a data source URL, a database driver which I need to use, the user admin and password. Let me go back here and copy the password. This is different. So I'm just going to copy the paste the password here, and then I do a drop and create, right? So what I'm trying to show you here is that Quarkus not only reloads your Java classes, it also reloads your application properties as well. Even if a change to an application properties also gets reloaded. All right. So maybe let's try this. Let me go here and then try to see if I can get this working. Let me pull this here, and okay, probably the Hibernate doesn't work. Okay, I think probably it failed. So one of the things what failed is that it's asking me to say, let me go here. You can also see the failure here as well. It says there is no identifier, right? Technically, a persistence class needs to, an entity needs to have an identifier, right? It's your primary key, right? So this is where Panache comes into picture. What you have done with Panache is Panache, any DAO class, right? If you take a Hibernate or ORM class, what you basically write, you write a DAO class, you write a service class. So these two works in combination, right? Always. So what we have done with Panache is that we have taken all these normal patterns, and then we have filled the classes with those respective methods, right? Which is a boilerplate code, and then given to you, so that you don't need to rewrite the code anytime you want. So what you basically do is, if I go back here and then make my fruit class extend Panache entity, when I do this, so what happens when I do that and then reload my class, my application does, I think still, let me see, DDL execution, check that host name is correct. Let me go back to my host name and see if that's correct. Okay, sorry. Okay, so now it should be okay. Now my host name has some problem, and now I get another one. There is no admin. Okay, I go back here, host Chris is my administrator name. There you go, right? And then now if you go here and then see the class, I mean your schema loader, and then let me go here and copy the password back, and you will see that, okay, how we started this, Postgres, and then password, what happened? Okay, there is no server running. Did I stop this? Okay, I'm sorry, I stopped this one. I just need a port forward for my thing. Go back here and here. Okay, there you go. So you have a fruit class as created. And then if I go to the console here of my Eclipse J down below, you'll see a bunch of DDL statements also got executed. And this creates, in this way, like it becomes much faster. Now, obviously you don't get anything right now. The good thing about this is that, so we also added a Swagger UI if you see the extension which we added earlier. So what I can basically do is like I can also give Swagger-UI, and I get a Swagger UI also, right? Automatically generated, right? But for all the REST classes I've written, I don't need to have a Swagger UI, because when you write REST APIs or microservices, one of the common things you always do is like you need to have Postman or any other tools kind of do a REST API checks. Actually, you don't need to do anything right here. So the moment you add Swagger UI, in the development mode, the Swagger API gets enabled for you so that you can access all your methods there, right? So let's go here, and then obviously we can just do an execute, but the execute will not work here because I don't have anything right now on my class, all right? So what do I do? So let me go back to my resource and then say, okay, this is a panache entity. So what I'm going to say is, let me go and copy this thing from a tutorial which we have. Tutorial. So this is a tutorial we have. We had a workshop there done on Friday. So we'll go here and answer panache using panache. This is what we did. And then I'm going to say list all fruits. I just copy these two things here. And just for saving time. Otherwise, I need to start typing all this stuff. Okay. I'm just going to say everything is going to return you this thing. And then I'm going to add one method. So which is a by default, the method which you had here to say to return the list of fruits. You'll be wondering where this list of fruits coming from. I'll just put this here first, fix these class path things. Okay. This fruit, the fruit class, as I told you, is a panache entity. The panache entity gives you a lot of boilerplate methods. For example, when you write a typical CRUD method for a database application, all you do is like a get, post, and then update, create, and all these stuff. You don't have anything to do except that persistence.save, persistence.get, persistence.update, right? So what you have done with panache is like we've added all those methods by default inside, including query methods, so that you don't need to write those, reinvent those methods, just start using them right away, all right? That's what I've done here. If you see this method here, says list all, which basically, and then we have a lot of stuff here, list all using sorting as well, which uses ORM sorting. We can get everything out of this and then list it for you, all right? So let's go here and then see if I can get anything right here. Let me execute. Okay, so let's go here and then try it out and then say execute. So you'll obviously not get anything because I don't have anything right now on my database. So the other good thing about panache is, panache is also with Quarkus is that I can also write a file like this, import.sql, which is understood by your persistent and Java stuff. And then I'm going to load a bunch of fruits, right, basically. So let me go here and then say, hopefully fruit, and then I just have name. Hopefully my SQL syntax is right. And then hibernate or sequence, and then I say, I'll just take things out, and then see if this works for me. I'll just refresh my Swagger UI, and hopefully I got some class pasting here somewhere. I don't know where I actually went wrong. Some characters got pasted, so let me go here and then try to I'll get it from here. I just have another example. So Quarkus quick starts. I don't know, some copy paste. I think I'm getting some characters which are copied. So it's exactly the same example which I'm using here, panache rest EC, the same one. I'll just copy the SQL statement alone from there. And resources, go here. Okay, and then I'll copy these ones as raw. Okay, and I go back to my code, and where is my browser? All right, I go to my Eclipse J window and then say this, and then let me see if I can clear this window and refresh this back. I hope. Okay, you see them getting inserted. I think there was a copy paste. My thing has some special characters, like it was always saying some errors. So I just need to fix it up. So and then you got your classes loaded as well, which means that I can also load the data, which is import SQL. Right now, if you see, I've not stopped my server. So I have not stopped my application. And then I'm going through my development cycle where I had first list method, and then I can add create method, then I can add other methods into it, so that you refresh your Swagger UIs to get the thing updated and quickly test it as well, right? So let's do that as well. So let's quickly go here, and then obviously you'll see this in the select data of this fruit table. So you'll see these three things added. When I go back and then I say try it out and then execute. So obviously you should get three methods here. So let me go here and let me not use this, and then let's say slash fruit. Okay, obviously I get the three methods available here for us as well. So which means that my cycle is now pretty quick, right? I don't need to waste my time doing all these stuff, starting, stopping server, writing the class with a bunch of boilerplate code, etc., etc. Even the ID error, which we saw earlier, was vanished if I do a panache entity, because adding an ID, we don't know big auto-generated ID, we don't know any big logic, just annotating that as an ID, right? So that's what we do here as well. And we can add a lot of other methods, which is there as part of this particular entity. You can explore that with the tutorial links, which I have in my slide. And then you see I can have a lot of these methods already added for you, right? The list all, find all, stream, including streaming methods, persist for saving, and then delete for delete and count. So you have all the methods, the typical ORM methods already added to your class, right? The moment you say, I'm extend from panache entity, right? So this is more fun, and then I want to show you one more stuff before I say, I think I have 9 more minutes, and then I can take some questions. So what I'll also do is, like, I'll just try to do a Maven package native run, which takes a minute and a half. While that's done, I can show you a different demo, package -p native. What I'm trying to do is, like, I'm trying to build the application here so that, like, it brings you a native binary which can be run, which is 30% much faster than your JVM application. It uses ahead of time compiling as well. So let me kick it off. And then I want to show you a quick demo on a reactive messaging. So I'm going to use Kafka streaming behind, and then the simulation here is that I took up a traffic use case. Typically, if you say a traffic signal, if you're at a signal junction, and then you say you want to control the traffic technically. So what basically happens is that this application simulates the data, saying that what is the traffic on the east, west, north, south directions, and then send it to a Kafka stream. And then your Quarkus application basically pulls the data from the Quarkus stream and then controls your traffic signals, right? It's just a simulation again. It's not a perfect traffic signal. So in real-time scenarios, what basically you can do is, like, you can take this example. If all the traffic signals will have cameras embedded in them, they can take the cameras, take the pictures out, and then what they can do is, like, they can send it to an ML, artificial intelligence and machine learning, and then make it learn the traffic density, and then bring this data and send it back to your traffic signal so that it can start controlling your traffic automatically, right? So let's do this. So what I've done here is that I'm using microprofile reactive messaging. So if you're not aware of this, so this is the implementation from microprofile. So reactive messaging, small array reactive messaging, which is what we use in Quarkus. So we can go to this particular, you can just Google this small array reactive messaging, you'll get this. And then we have a common scenario. This is what I said, right? Here, I'm using a reactive model to get the stream data, as well as I'm using an imperative model to get the data for me as well, right? And then this is what this combination that Quarkus gives you, because you don't need to write 2 separate things for this. It's already there. I'm just going to use those annotations which is given there. For example, let's go here to my class, which I have here. Let me blow this up a little bit. And then if you use this traffic generator, this is going to use a stream, basically. And then it says outgoing, which means that it's going to send to a Kafka channel. Right? It's already configured using reactive messaging, and then it starts to send every 30 seconds. It keeps sending a traffic information to the Kafka stream. All right. And then I have something called as traffic controller here, so which is actually generates a timeout, getting the information, converting the information, and sending it back to your another Kafka topic, which actually does this controlling of things as well. If you see this is a uniform thing which I'm used here, and then I'm also used a server socket events for WebSockets, so which can actually take the events and start showing that on a screen for you as well, right? So let's quickly start this up. So I'm going to start this one. I'm just going to do in a Quarkus development mode. Let's go here. Okay, I just started that, and then my Kafka, it's not initiated until I give a call to it. I'm going to go here, and then I say, so let me zoom this down a little bit so that you can see this. So this is the, just technically I say, you imagine looks like a 4-way signal, north, east, west, south. And then the moment you saw the signals coming up, let's give a 30 seconds and see if the signals comes up here. If you see here, I've not got the message yet. So, and then we'll wait for some time for the message to get through, because the first message gets delivered at 30 seconds. Yes, we got the message now. Once you get the message now, and soon you'll see the traffic signals coming up, because right now the traffic is stopped. Now I got an east-west thing, so which means that I need to stop the traffic there and then start the traffic flow here, right? Which is done automatically. So these are reactive messages which are flowing behind the scenes, and then your application responds to this. And technically, if you see, I can have an IoT thing integrated with this, and then I can start flowing the message using MQTT into your IoT devices, which is technically your signals, and then they can start controlling your signals as well in this way. right? And then I think this is something which is, again, as I said, it's already built into Quarkus. So you don't need to write anything extra. If you see in my classes, which I just showed you, I think I also shared the examples as part of the links. The classes doesn't have anything extra you return. So everything is a typical application which you write, except that we use the reactive message spec, and then we also use these server socket events to kind of simulate this graphic for you, right? Which means that I can connect to Kafka, I can have reactive streaming going on, which is a reactive model. I can use server socket, which is technically your REST API kind of thing, which is an imperative model of programming. I can use both of them together without any issues. All right? Usually the problem starts when I try to mix imperative and reactive programming, because we get confused like which one you have to use, which framework which you have used, how the combination is used. We solved all those problems internally so that you can start using these annotations directly for you. Okay? All right, so let's see if we can, if I have the, I have 4 more minutes. Let me see if my native mode is done. Probably I had some issues with my native mode. Probably I ran out of memory or something. I don't know, let me start it again. So while this happens, any questions that I can take? No questions? Yes, absolutely. You have Maven, we have Gradle as well. Okay, that's right. Properties. Yeah, I think we have this one right now for you. Okay, uh, so if you are using Visual Studio Code, then you can also do Quarkus add this kind of stuff, which gives you the list of extensions that you can add. We already have the extension done. So you can just click this. This automatically runs your Maven command behind the scene. So this is just released a few days, a week back, in fact. So we can do this as well. And we also have the web browser-based interface if you go to quarkus.io, so which you can actually do that and then create a project template, scaffold, create it, and then download the zip as well. That's also possible. Okay. All right. So and then you can also visit this particular tutorial. So which we have, I think this is exactly the same one which I showed you a few minutes back. So this is a Quarkus tutorial here. I think I have the link there. So probably you can just go here and then say Red Hat Developer Demos Quarkus tutorial if you want to, and then this gives you end-to-end. We are keeping adding more modules to this so that this can teach you like how you can make running Quarkus locally as well. So you don't need to worry about all the cluster we had. I think it also includes a Kubernetes example as well. And then let me see if I'm succeeding in, okay, there's some issue with the native compiler. Maybe I have not given enough memory for that. It needs at least 4 gigabytes and 4 CPU because it does an ahead of time compilation behind the scene. Let me see if I can do the one locally. The one I had here. Okay, let me see. At least I can show you guys compiling. I think there 1 more minute left, so I'm not sure I can get it done with that because it takes at least FNP native. Okay, I need to give a package. So this creates, for example, in this case, like it creates me a Mac OS binary. It does not create a Linux binary here. And then probably takes, maybe doesn't work. I think I changed my Graal yesterday, Mac. All right, so I think we are at the top of the hour. Probably we can just do it in the next talk or next time when I meet you guys. So if you don't have any other questions, I thank you all for joining my session today. And any questions, you can just drop me a note, tweet, GitHub message, anything. I'll be happy to answer your questions. Right? Thank you.